Helping to win back a larger share of the market. See?
In 1992, following the success of Capcom's Street Fighter II, Midway Games released before it came out.
The Dreamcast, the console that simultaneously
in the world in the 19...
Mortal Kombat really was the right game at the right time.
Mortal Monday was for the biggest video game release of all time.
The thing to remember is that Mortal Kombat just became this huge phenomenon. I mean, the Mortal Monday thing, the whole Mortal Kombat, you know, all of that stuff, and the fact that the original game came out on like every system known to man.
So I think it's September 13th, and my birthday is September 19th. So it's a couple days after that, I got the Super Nintendo version, and I got to perform like Johnny Cage's kick to the sternum fatality, which was like the dumbest thing. I didn't care. I did not care. I absolutely loved the game.
Like, it was just like the most mind-blowing thing ever. It was like, I mean, I literally remember it was like for that one brief moment, complete silence as it happened, and then the second that it was over, like everybody's like, oh! It was like, so everybody started yelling, screaming, and then from that moment on, I think that was kind of where Mortal Kombat, for me and all my friends, certainly kind of took off as being, this is what we're doing. So, and I mean, this is what we're doing. I mean, like, literally, it was every day, like after school,
I would play that game like for hours a night for weeks on end after that, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, like, one, what the hell was my dad doing buying me that game? Two, how was he not like expressing some kind of concern that I was apparently devoting every waking moment that I could?
As we all know, the Super Nintendo and Genesis version. The Genesis version of the original Mortal Kombat had blood. Super Nintendo had the weird sweat glue thing.
They changed the fatality straight up. So Sub-Zero's iconic, you know, rip the dude's head off and the spinal column hanging, like that was not in the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat.
I remember getting this argument with one of my friends where he's getting the Genesis version, I'm getting the Super Nintendo version. I'm just like, oh man, I can still just imagine it's blood, right? I mean, they're still doing the same animation, there's still fatalities, it's cool, I mean, but no. I mean, graphically the Super Nintendo version was great, like it looked so much better than the Genesis version, but those fatalities and the blood, you know, violence aside, they just added to just the feel of the game.
On the Sega Genesis, you could straight up put up a code, right? So I think it was like Abacaba is what we used to call it, ABA-CABB, start, I think. So like that was what you would do to activate the awesome old, you know, fatalities in the Genesis version. Problem was the Super Nintendo version looked really good. It looked like the arcade. The Sega Genesis version didn't quite look as good.
It played perfectly on the Super Nintendo. It was like an arcade perfect form. So even though it was like toned down with the violence, it still was like the game that I wanted.
And on some level too, I think it was sort of this realization that the industry was ready to embrace violent games. Not that games hadn't been violent before that, but this was a game that kind of transcended video games and it broke into the mainstream, obviously with the attention given to it by mainstream media talking about how violent it was and how it was ruining our kids and making them do crazy stuff.
You know, I'm like 12 or 13 years old, so of course I just look at this and I'm like, oh, that is so awesome. He's totally like ripping that dude's head off and his spinal column sitting there dangling and tears his heart out and it's still pumping. It's like, whoa! But I mean, that was because I was 12 or 13 years old.
It just had a huge impact. I mean, this is the company and the game that essentially made Nintendo change its policy.
Mortal Kombat 1 was a special time. Like, I don't think that'll ever happen again where a game like that, you know, will ever have that weird success that it did with, you know, the hidden stuff because, you know, the internet.
This is why Mortal Kombat has had its peak, has had its heyday. And as great as the games they make might be or might become, I don't think it'll ever achieve the relevance that it had before.
Like, if you look at it, you know, the new Mortal Kombat just kind of proved that. That new Mortal Kombat came out and it was like within like a couple days, you know, it was like pretty much a lot of stuff was, you know, out there at that point.
Despite, you know, the quality of the games going up and down over the years, I think Mortal Kombat really is probably one of the more important games in video game history.